That is the Playmobil Farm.
It's not often that you hear of a bucket list
My brother made me this.
for two happy kids, always on the go.
Sort of came together early on and said, well, let's make a list of things that we want to see while we can, or experience in this way.
The Galloways are on a race against time to see the world before Zoe and Logan lose their eyesight.
To some degree, I think sometimes you feel like it's almost like the loss of a life you thought was going to be true.
It took dozens of vision tests to find out what was happening to Logan's eyesight. He was diagnosed at 3 years old with an extremely rare genetic eye disease called Leber congenital amaurosis. Shortly after, Logan's younger sister Zoe was also handed the same news at 3.
Which was kind of a double heartbreak because we were like, well, Zoe's gonna, beat up all the kids that, pick on Logan because she's kind of our bull in China shop.
Heartbreak, because there is no cure for LCA.
And then you feel guilt as a parent that you brought these children into the world and they're gonna struggle.
A learning challenge only heightened by the pandemic.
This is EDITOR, editor.
But Logan and Zoe have adapted, and their parents are rising up to help other families.
We also decided it was time to try to fight for our kids and find a cure for them.
The Galloways formed a nonprofit called RDH12 Fund for Sight, put on an annual 5K to raise money, and even hired a PhD student to do a clinical trial.
Their vision loss at this point is determined by money.
Until they can reach that goal of $10 million, the Galloways have shown us the definition of resilience.
I think as a family, we want them to have the most normal lives they possibly can, and not to let their disability define them.
Good job, Logan.
Logan and Zoe are incredible skiers, play hockey, ride horses, and run cross country.
Every day it eats away a little bit at you that your kids have this, and it's hard. But you have to show them a strong face and tell them that there's nothing that's going to stop them.
So here's my pile I usually go to over here.
You could call Terry Reed
Oh, I love it.
a rock whisperer
Oh, my lovely rocks.
on a mission to find the perfect rock.
I like this one. It's nice and smooth. So it's just easier to paint on it.
To paint a message that could save a life.
Okay. So there's today's haul.
A message that's come from heartbreak in her own life.
I have cried many tears in this room.
Terry paints the rocks she finds in memory of her 22-year-old son, Travis.
I kind of feel his presence here.
She paints in his room, just the way he left it in 2018.
I'm just trying to raise awareness and fulfill those promises I made to him.
A promise to raise awareness about organ donation after Travis took his own life.
He was getting ready to go to college when he passed, but knew I was going to transform his room into my craft room.
His death gave life to 3 people. And now Terry paints Donate Life on rocks with inspiring messages and leaves them in places across the country and world with instructions for the finder to become an organ donor.
I don't think there's a county or a town in Colorado that has not had a Donate Life rock placed in it, at least one.
Terry has left tens of thousands of rocks behind with the goal of 1 rock in every state.
One of my favorite places where rocks were put was in New York State, 'cause that's where Travis was born.
All in hopes that someone out there will register to become an organ donor and help the 100,000 people on the waiting list.
We had to have a loss for someone else to live, but I know with everything in me that this is what Travis would have wanted upon his passing.
I test when I get to the stadium.
Before a big game,
I meditate to help bring my blood sugar down.
Bryce Voss jumps over a few more hurdles than your typical high school football player. The number 2 rusher in the state throws on his cleats, gears up, and sticks his finger to check his blood sugar levels on his pump.
I keep my pump on diabetic pump on during warm-ups and all that stuff.
Bryce lives with type 1 diabetes, and he's raising awareness about his diagnosis of a misunderstood disease.
Yeah, and I went into a coma for 7 days, and I woke up and they told me that I was a type 1 diabetic.
Scary moments for a 5th grader in April 2013. He ended up with blood sugars so high, his brain swelled.
The first thing I asked the doctors was, can I still play football with this? And they all told me, yeah, it's very possible. You just have to manage it well.
So he does, dominating on his number 3 ranked high school football team, all while counting carbs and checking his insulin.
If you're newly diagnosed with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, it's very possible to continue living your best life and even better than you were before.
On the outside, you see this goofy, fluffy golden.
When he has his vest off, he's very much just a regular dog, but he knows what his job is when I tell him.
All right, circling back to heel one more time.
Aslan is a service dog, a lifeline for Lily Cape.
He's just given me so much more freedom and like the security of knowing that he's there to help me, even if like I'm by myself somewhere.
Lily has epilepsy.
If I go into a seizure, he notices, oh my gosh, something's wrong. And so he is trained to look for those signs of either shaking or like looking like out of it, zoning out. And so then he will start barking to make other people aware around me that something's wrong.
And for her mom, Allison, having Aslan in Lily's corner brings her peace of mind.
As a nurse, you always want to help somebody, but to see your kid, your loved one, seize and become cyanotic and not breathing right, it's heartbreaking.
Have him recall to you. And go right into between.
The man behind Aslan's training, Michael Connors.
I can train dogs like Aslan and make it where Lily's life is easier.
A warrior in his own right, Michael is a combat veteran, having spent more than 10 years in the U.S. Army with deployments to the Middle East. In 2015, he was injured, evacuated back to the United States, where he spent 18 months at Walter Reed Hospital.
And when they said you can't go back, that was kind of shattering. That my entire life had been focused on military, serving this country, dedicated everything to that. And when that was taken away, it was like everything I know is gone.
With that purpose ripped away, Michael struggled with depression.
I had a dog climb into the bed. I was outpatient at that point. I had put a gun to my head, and the dog prevented it by pushing the gun down, pushing my arm down, and refusing to let me lift my arm back up.
Realizing the life-changing power of dogs, Michael discovered a new purpose. He founded Bodie's Battalion to train service dogs for veterans.
We see veterans who respond back with, you know, I've never been able to take my kids to the movies. I've never been able to do these things since I came back. Now they have the dog and they reclaim that sense of life.
Michael is saving our veterans and improving the lives of civilians like Lily and Allison.
Oh my gosh, how is Michael not a warrior? In every way.
Good.
Fighting for our country, fighting for veterans, giving dogs away. Oh. It touches my heart, and he helped Lily.
High five!
Everybody knows I'm such a crier.
Very good.
What jokes? Tell me a joke.
When it comes to jokes,
What do you call a group of killer whales playing music?
Little Cece's got all the punchlines.
Orchestra.
Can you tell these are from great grandpa?
Humor is how she copes during chemo's seemingly endless visits to the hospital and surgeries.
It was just kind of one of those amazing things where God had put all the right people in the right places to make sure this got found early.
Doctors at Children's Hospital Colorado diagnosed 5-year-old Cece with neuroblastoma last November.
How do you take it?
Good. That's an understatement. She's been a rock star.
She's a trooper.
This whole thing.
Getting Cece to talk about her tumor or even process it all wasn't always easy until CU nursing graduate Jennifer Rabin started her research paper.
I started it about 7 years ago, and as I was going on with it, I realized I needed a doctorate degree to truly ask the scientific questions.
Her question: does art and creativity help kids live better and longer? Rabin studied 100 kids with cancer, and the answer in short, yes.
The kids come out and they're laughing and playing while they're hooked up to infusions.
For Cece, her art project was to paint and create something that signified her tumor.
It felt like it was an asteroid.
Something she could see and feel.
You want to see what you're going to do?
So today we're going to smash the asteroid that's living inside.
And destroy.
I had a lot of people helping, but it was me doing the big part.
What did you do?
I was taking this hammer and pushing it down with all my strength.
Art helped Cece confront her trauma.
It takes something that's this unknown that just came into our lives and disrupted pretty much everything, right? And it put a name to it, and it made it something we could see and we could take care of.
After chemo, it was a dose of art that helped Cece conquer her cancer.
Every single day since then, she has been a billion times better.
You wouldn't have told jokes before, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.